Yo, what is going on? And welcome to another episode of the Urban Pitch Podcast, the beautiful game of life, part of the Believe Network. I'm Ramsey Abushala, editor of UrbanPitch.com. Co-executive directors of Vibes are in the building. Bridget Flores, Julio Monterosa. What's going on, y'all?
What is going on? We in here.
That was a very robotic, AI type.
I was trying
AI
to
Bridget.
remember if I was here the last episode.
No, you were
wasn't,
not.
right?
No,
you're not.
And that was the first week of February or second week of February?
That was the second week of February.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
it's
first
February.
full week, but the second week of actual February.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that. Well, it's February, the month of love or whatever.
So we actually replaced Bridget with an AI version of Bridget after she missed last week. So that's why she's going to be a little bit wonky. We're still testing out the glitches. This is the beta version. So
It's the LeBron of Space Jam.
Y'all didn't update me.
Yeah. But we do have a very special guest in the building. Guest host. He's back again. MLS expert. Team owner now. This is crazy. Eli Lesser, welcome back to the show. It's so good to have you.
Yeah, this is actually my favorite show to come on, especially because it's in person. Throughout COVID, it got really redundant to, keep being on Zoom over and over again. So when you guys first invited me last year, I had the best time, and it was super fun. So I'm so happy to be back. And also bringing a little Galaxy representation here today.
Yeah, we got. He got the corduroy memo, though. He got the corduroy.
Corduroy is always in, and I've been effing with it a lot recently.
Yeah. So last time we had you on, we had you. We're talking about you. Your journey in soccer and kind of where it's all taken you to this point today. But as much as we'd love to, go back and do that again, we already did it. So go check the last episode. I don't remember what number it was, but go through the archives. Eli, you're here today. We got an MLS season. We're on the precipice. We're 2 weeks away.
2 weeks?
Yeah, 2 weeks away from the 2024 MLS season. So we're gonna break down, some the off season. We're gonna talk about some of the favorites, which teams are the teams to watch out for, which are some dark horses, some teams to disappoint, and then get into some hot takes and all that. But first, I think we could start off with talking about the off season. So. We've been in off-season mode for a few months now. We've been talking about, just how I feel like there's off-season brain that I feel like all three of us have kind of gotten into, where it's we start kind of worrying and blowing things out of proportion a little bit, where, for a while we were talking about LAFC and how we were a little bit nervous. We weren't really going to make a move. But things kind of play out how they do. What are your thoughts on the off-season? What are teams that are making moves? What are teams that you would like to see more of? And then obviously, you're rocking the Galaxy gear, so we could talk about some of the LA Galaxy stuff.
Yeah, so first, I think two clubs that really stood out to me this offseason were the two C's, or there's more than two, but Chicago and Colorado. First of all, Colorado, we all know about the U.S. influx that they brought in. They're maintaining their tradition of bringing in the USMNT goalkeeper from Tim Howard, and now they got Zach Steffen. I think that's a big move for them, bringing in Georgi Mihalovic, Sammy Vines. These are guys that, were impact players in MLS, but aren't the most expensive to bring in. So I think that was very well done, and I think, bringing Sammy Vines back to the club was pretty cool. And, do I think that makes them an instant contender? No, but, they're definitely more intriguing than they have been over the last couple seasons. And then Chicago, I think they had a very underrated offseason. I got some of the moves here, but, the big one today was Kellen Acosta, USMNT, and, it was terrific for LAFC, a huge part of their run in 2022. And also just, he's still got a lot in him. And they also brought in a guy named Hugo Kuipers from Ghent, who is a striker in his prime. From the Belgian league, and they dropped a record fee on him, and I expect big things from him. Shaqiri needed a running mate as well, so I think bringing him in could be pretty good. And then they had underrated moves like Andrew Gutman, who is a starter, and then a team that I think is one piece away from having a terrific offseason is actually the Portland Timbers. So far they brought in Kamal Miller and Maxime Crepeau, really shored up their defense a lot. I just think they need one more designated player attacker, and then they'll have a terrific offseason, and Portland is back and whatever. But they're a team I'd look out for maybe to make a move either before the end of the deadline or this summer.
Today's episode is brought to you by Bet Online. Bet Online is your #1 source for odds, stats, trends, and lines from all your favorite sports. You can access the world's best wagering information anytime from your desktop or mobile devices. So head to Bet Online today to stay updated on all the action. Bet Online, the game starts here. You mentioned Chicago, and I think sometimes it's hard. It's easy to forget that Xherdan Shaqiri is playing in MLS because I mean, obviously there's some injuries and things like that, and Chicago doesn't necessarily get the spotlight that maybe it once did for various reasons. But I think the move with Kellen, even their social media team was getting active in the offseason. We talked about the footy headlines.
That was amazing.
Something that we haven't really seen before, and we mentioned this a couple weeks ago about how like brands becoming like cognizant on social media can be tiresome, but that was kind of a fun move. But I think it's good to see now teams starting to spend a little bit more money, make some moves, and I want the league is better when Chicago's is good. I feel like they're one of a historic team that and it sucks to have seen them be in the dumps for the last few seasons. So I'm looking forward to them. I think that's a good point that you outlined there. Yeah.
And just like going back to the Chicago, and like I said it before in a previous podcast, Kellen was the most played player, 21, 22 with club and international minutes. So he was bound to get hurt. So he had an up and down season for LAFC, but now he's well rested. And I said it before, a well rested Kellen is a scary Kellen. So I think he's gonna do big things for Chicago.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, and I think Kellen is like he's not the flashiest player, right? But he does all the dirty things. He does all the things that you want to see out of a midfielder of that stature. So adding a piece like him, I think is gonna pay dividends for a team like that. But how about some underrated pickups and some teams? Or actually, you know what? Before we get into that, what about the Galaxy? Because obviously the Galaxy made some moves too. Will Kuntz, we mentioned him multiple times on the show. Just
love that guy.
Yeah. But
I love him too. By the way.
So I think we always say this too, but I feel like we're always a little bit optimistic about the Galaxy because of what the roster is, and towards the end of 2022, that final push, they looked like the hottest team in the league. Didn't really get off to the best start last year, and things never really took off for them. But I feel like the momentum is rolling, and now with some of these pieces that they're bringing up, what are your thoughts on the team?
I mean, this is the most excited I've been heading into a season for a very long time, and maybe I'm just clouded by what happened last year heading into the season with all the drama. But it seems like the team has a direction and how they want to go about their signings now, and the direction is much better than their previous, ideology of just signing these big guys that will fill in seats for sure, or sell jerseys, but not necessarily provide a winning team. And the guys that they're bringing in, Gabriel Peck and Joseph Ponstill, or he's almost signed. Those are high impact guys. We're talking about one guy who is killing it for the Brazilian U23s and could be on the Olympics roster this year. And then we're talking about a guy who dominated the Belgian league with 31 goal contributions last year, and he's 26. We're not getting guys that are 32, 33. We're bringing in, a 20-year-old and a 26-year-old. So it is a lot more, or I have a lot more hopes for the team this season. And we're just hoping that, you mentioned that the league is better when Chicago is a good team. I'd say the same thing about the Galaxy for sure. And I think the league is at its best when, the two LA teams can be the best teams, because we haven't quite seen that yet where the two LA teams are the absolute best teams in the league.
Right. We've seen, I think the Galaxy are a top 5 team in the league when they play LAFC, though. I feel like if they could play at that level.
Pull up with everything.
Consistently, that intensity, I feel like they always step their game up when it comes to the Trafico matches. But
I believe they have 2 center backs are coming back from injuries, but they could be scary if they come back to a big form. Caceres and Neal, which I can't get tired of just saying, saw that guy play last year. I'm like, this guy's a stud. He could be the future for U.S. soccer. And fortunately, he had that injury, but they do have 2 center backs that if they come back, they can make a high impact in that back line.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the tough thing about the Galaxy last year is no one should be playing their 6th center back, and that was a regular player for the Galaxy, Tony Alfaro. You don't want to go that deep down the depth chart consistently. And when Eric Zavaleta is playing high starter minutes, you're in trouble. No offense to him, but hat trick king. But
good the last game.
Yeah. I just
to
say,
Salvadorian International.
it's great because I love the Salvadoran pride that he brings to a lot of the Galaxy fans. But it's sometimes you get a little clouded by that pride when you're like, he's actually really not good, unfortunately. Like, I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, I think they got hit with that, like the curse of the injuries and all of that for the Galaxy. But I think also losing Chicharito kind of gives the team and the organization an opportunity to realize, like, okay, there's something that you have to replace with that, with losing Chicharito. Chicharito was a big name for the community, for the team, as a player himself. So I think it's an opportunity for them to kind of like fill in that gap with the intensity, the team dynamic, and the strength that could make them a strong team.
And they still got Puig.
And they still got Puig.
This is the best fit. The two guys that we brought in to play wingers, I think, are the best fit for him specifically. And, getting more creative forces in there, and it's not going to be over-reliant on Ricky. So that's what I'm excited to see.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on? Because I don't even think we talked about the whole Chicharito departure. But what are your thoughts on the overall era with the Galaxy? Because obviously there was a lot of highs. Like he had really really good season a couple years ago, but then just couldn't really stay on the field consistently. But overall, when you take a look back at how he'll be remembered as a Galaxy player, like what are your thoughts?
So unlike Douglas Costa, I love Chicharito, and I'm gonna miss Chicharito. Just yes, there were portions of his time at the Galaxy where he was either bad or injured, but at the same time, you could always tell how much it meant to him to be at the club and try to get back into fitness or get back into strength and get back into form for the team. And he won a lot of Galaxy fans over, not because of his national identity, which did help, but just the fact that like you could tell that he really wanted to be there, and he showed face for the club in the darkest of times that the club has gone through. And I think that was really, really amazing. And, I'm very happy that he got this move to Chivas. And I love that his presentation at Chivas was much better than Messi's at Miami. Like, that was super cool to watch. And, he deserves that kind of treatment, especially for what he meant for, El Tri for an entire generation. So I look back at his time at the Galaxy fondly, but maybe in like 10 years it'll be a little rose-colored because I'll think of him as this great guy for us, even though the teams around him and the team during that time was not great.
But I feel he never got the proper help. Chicharito was never a one-on-one player from his time in Europe. Y'all saw him when he played Real Madrid, Manchester United. As long as he got wingers giving him the ball, he will create goals. And with Galaxy, he never had a constant player that send those balls in the middle. I believe 2 seasons ago or beginning of this season, when he came out on fire and then the balls were coming inside. Chicharito cannot create a goal, and that's never been his game. He's never going to go one-on-one, one-on-two. That's just not his game. But the minute you feed him the ball, you're gonna get a top scorer, and that's what he is.
I think it was sad to see him go. But me on the other side of things, like I'm really excited to see him in Chivas and the presentation and just like the welcoming for him in Chivas. I thought to me that kind of like it felt like he was leaving a Galaxy, but he was also like opening up another chapter in his life that is going to be possibly like a successful like end to his career. And like Julio's saying, I think him at Chivas is going to show what he could have been in Galaxy had he had that like other piece to the puzzle with Cade Cowell feeding balls. Oh, dude, Chivas is going to be scary.
So
honestly, I'm really excited for Liga MX to start. I think a little bit more than MLS.
Yeah, honestly.
Or not, well, to see like the full season with like Cade Cowell, Brandon Vasquez, all the signs that they've gotten from MLS. I think there's been a lot of like talk about MLS players going to Liga MX in a negative way. And I think that this season we might see that kind of like, counterattack all of that talk and kind of show like what they can do out there and like how they can build themselves as players.
And Chivas social media has been hilarious. Just like everybody speaking English in CDMX now. Like,
and I know. No,
like real Mexican speak English.
And then also, man, I've seen so many TikToks of like Chivas fans like starting to speak English or like they're
hello,
like,
how are you?
Yeah, we're gonna go see Cowell.
So I've been great. I've been loving it.
And also Cade Cowell like embracing his Mexican nationality side. Like I don't know if you guys saw, but they gifted him like a tejana, and that was like him saying like what he said. I'm not gonna repeat it, but him saying what he said is just like I just love that he's embracing it and they're like really welcoming him into the space. And honestly, it's a side of his life that he gets to experience that he didn't have out here, and I think that that's beautiful.
And I think with Cade, it's also just experiencing it for the first time, because you look at Cade or you hear him speak, and you don't like sense that he has that type of heritage, and now he gets to finally like embrace it and show it, and I think that's a cool thing for him.
Right.
He's going to college abroad.
And he's going with Chicharito, who had just also come from MLS, so they're both going to be able to like feed off each other, you know, like bounce off of each other and kind of be there for each other with that experience. Yeah,
and both didn't have the greatest setup in MLS too. Like the Earthquakes, I think started off the year really strong. We had Jeremy Abobisi a few episodes ago just talking about like how things kind of, you know, as the season progressed, you know, it didn't really manifest the way that they thought they did when the season started. But so that's something, and I think the whole Liga MX MLS rivalry with a lot of these players going back and forth, because we've seen, you know, MLS or Liga MX players come to MLS, and now we're starting to see it kind of shifting the other way now, and so. The whole thing with the Leagues Cup ramping up, the new look Champions Cup, there's going to be more kind of opportunities now to get that interleague play. So I'm looking forward to that this year too. And
I love the Leagues Cup, by the way. I know that's a hot take these days, but I really enjoyed the Leagues Cup last year, and I'm excited to see, you know, like a year two of that. But
yeah, and I think. Last year, it really benefited from Messi coming, and because that was obviously his debut, and he it almost seemed scripted, like being
school goal,
like come on, man, like it would like if you were watching it, like if you were told that was going to happen at the beginning of the season, like, you know what I mean, like just like get the hell out of here, you know. But so I'm I don't want to say excited, but I'm very intrigued on how the second year of the Leagues Cup will roll out, because. I don't know if there's going to be any backlash to MLS pulling out of the Open Cup, which, or at least claiming to pull out from the Open Cup, because I think a lot of people see that as a move to kind of emphasize the Leagues Cup, their own competition, because a lot of people were kind of, when the Leagues Cup was first announced, they're like, okay, where does this fit into the hierarchy of competitions? So you have the MLS season, you have Champions League, then now Champions Cup, you have the Open Cup, and now Leagues Cup. So how are teams going to prioritize when to play their players and which cups to go for? And it seems like MLS obviously wants that to be the Leagues Cup. So I don't know if fans are going to respond in a way that's maybe anti-Leagues Cup, or I really don't know but I'm very intrigued on how the storylines will play out, how the rivalries will play out, because I think it's a very interesting idea, and I think it has a lot of potential.
Oh, definitely. And I could talk about the Open Cup thing for hours, but I just think, you know, my quick take on that is just play the second teams without saying that you're going to play the second.
It was a bold move.
Yeah. I like LAFC did it last year. Right. Just like
definitely.
Play
Most
the MLS Next Pro players without saying you're doing it.
And they did it, and they got lucky enough to beat Monterrey, and they was like, oh, look at this run.
Right.
They you could tell they don't want to play that cup anymore. They were like, we have 3 other cups that we have to play for. We had a deep roster, but we have a deep roster for 4 tournaments.
Right.
And they showed
especially back to back like that, because I think the Champions League final was like around the corner. Was it the final or the semis?
The semi and then final.
And Nathan, we had Nathan on the podcast. He was like, like we saw the comments, like everybody didn't think we were going to do anything, and then like they were surprised that we actually won. I think everybody was surprised they actually won. So seeing them go against the Galaxy and put up a good fight against the Galaxy, like it was like, all right, but of course you're not going to beat the Galaxy. With the Galaxy had almost a complete roster in the LAC.
We played our first team.
That
was our starting 11.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't want to say it. No, but they definitely they played with heart, but there was no way that sweetheart story should have been longer than what it did.
Yeah, and so it was a very perplexing move for MLS to come out and just straight up say, because what were they expecting the response to be? Because U.S. Soccer is not going to just be like, yeah, okay, fine, you know, you guys do your thing, don't worry about it, like, you know, call us in next summer, you know, whatever. Like, it was very questionable move from the league that. I'm not entirely sure what the strategy was behind that.
They just don't want Messi to play cups that's not ran by MLS. So if he's not playing Apple TV, he's not playing at all.
Exactly. Well, but like, why go out and overtly say that instead of just kind of playing? Just don't say what hand you have. Just play the hand. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, I just think MLS is salty that Messi lost to the real GOAT, Griffin Dorsey, in the Open Cup final. You know, that they're salty about that, and you know, they didn't want, you know, Griffin Dorsey's coming out as a GOAT party it happened before they were ready for it. So
I want to talk about this because you recently made this announcement that the community GOAT
it was chosen by the people.
Yeah, it was with the help, and they couldn't really come to a decision because of all these great players that you brought up. So I want the whole story because Breck Shea was the reigning community GOAT, and you know, obviously has his own like style and flavor of his game that I think a lot of people gravitated towards. Maybe some people thought that he would raise to higher lengths, but I think his career in a vacuum, if you just take a look at it, pretty successful. And he provided some really awesome moments throughout that career.
First USA Wonder Kid.
Yeah. Right. And really? Then. So talk about your infatuation with Breck and how that came to be, and then now this shift to Griffin Dorsey as the new GOAT.
I mean, Breck Shea, what can I not say about him? I mean, this is a peak specimen of a human being.
Mullet.
He's mullet gang. He's got the hair. He's got the flair. He's got the attitude. You know, you see these training camp videos of him stomping on snakes that are trying to get onto the pitch. Like, this is a legend right here. He scored some golazos, and you know, I really fell in love with him when he came back to MLS, and he was on Orlando City. He didn't score often, but when he did, it was just like an absolute screamer. And, you know, he has a legendary name. I mean, his real name is Dane Brecken Shea. Like, that is insane. And around 2021, I was like, I'm gonna make this guy the GOAT. Back then, I was making kind of more satire-y videos. And I was like, I'm going to lift this guy on a pedestal higher than anyone in this world because he is the true GOAT. And, you know, I made a very cringy rap song about Breck Shea, which won't be released ever. But I've released, you know, just the chorus of it, and there's videos of me dancing in my college dorm room with that as a COVID music video. But he was just that guy. And when he retired, you know, I was very sad, of course, and I just felt a little lost. And during this past season, you know, something just felt missing, especially with the Galaxy being so trash. Like, I didn't have anyone to look to make me feel happy.
You're just losing left and right.
Yeah, about the league, you know. Breck Shea retired, Galaxy are awful. So I just felt like I was missing something. And you know, the real tea is I was kind of like feeling Griffin Dorsey as the next GOAT for a very long time. I didn't know how to come out with it.
Right.
And what happened is I got very lucky that he was, when I put out who should our next community GOAT be, because I wanted it to be the community's pick.
Right.
I was very lucky that a lot of people suggested Griffin, so I was like, okay, like this is happening. There were a couple other guys, but I felt like Griffin embodied exactly what Breck Shea embodied to me. Very chippy. He's a guy that coming into last year had zero expectations for him, and he was probably on his last lap as an MLS player. Like, if he did not work out in Houston last year, he was going to be out of MLS this year, but he was scrappy as heck, and he got the job done for Houston, became a key player, and scored in the Open Cup final against Messi, and which I think is, you know, where Messi gave his crown of being the GOAT to Griffin Dorsey, obviously. But so I was just like, this is the guy. He's got the hair, different color hair.
Too.
Yeah. He's got the hair. He's got the stature. And this story isn't true. However, there was a fake rumor that I want to make true as like a myth that, you know, after he knocked out RSL in the playoffs this past year, he went into the locker room and said, you know, have fun watching us in the next round or something like that. There was some troll account put that out there, but I was like, we're going to make this, you know, part of the, you know, the prophecy of Griffin Dorsey.
But I think we're missing something really important as well. He gave James Harden his first championship.
That's right.
He did give James Harden his first championship.
And only, probably. Unless Houston wins again.
Yeah,
or
well,
the Dynamo, I should say. Yeah.
Even though I'm a Clipper fan, I hate James Harden, so I'm not too proud of that part. But when it came down to the vote, and when it really came down to who my pick was, because all the voting category people that I let vote were so split, I was like, it's time. And Griffin Dorsey is our go. And first of all, we made a shirt of Griffin Dorsey on Bootleg MLS, and he actually texted me, Griffin, which is something Breck Shea never did. I'm just never able to get. Breck Shea would ignore me.
Did you ever meet him?
No, he would never he would never open any of my
pod.
DMs.
We'll send an email.
Yeah, he would. Breck Shea would never acknowledge my existence or anything. But Griffin had been following me for a while, which is I'm very lucky that he was. And he DM'd me saying he got his entire family, the Griffin Dorsey shirt.
Wow.
So
Griffin, the goat of the people.
He is the people's champ.
He's the people's goat.
And I think he's someone that all the listeners out there just like keep an eye on. Houston Dynamo, sure they have Hector Herrera and Carrasquilla, but it's really about the boy Griffin Dorsey. So.
Okay, so I want to get back into the MLS preview and side of things, but I know, Eli, the videos that you make, a lot of them, you're just a hot take like merchant. Like, you love a hot take, and that's why we love you, because some of them are, I mean, a lot of it has to be rooted in truth, and you obviously are incredibly good at taking it up like two extra, maybe turning the dial a little past where a lot of people would go. So
I try to push the right buttons without being like completely insensitive.
Right, exactly. And so I think that's what you've done extremely well, and that's why a lot of people kind of resonate with you, and I think that's why the growth that you've had is what it is. So I was excited to bring you on, and we were all like, this is why we wanted to have you on for our MLS preview episode, to have good old hot take. So we can all I know at least I think we all prepared our own. I can't speak for Bridger or Julio, but I trust them to have done so. But we can go around and share our hot takes for the season as we look ahead to 2024. Eli, I think it would only be right if you let us off.
All right, just want to make sure I read it correctly. All right. And, every year there is a new champion in MLS, right? But I want to take that to a whole new level, where in 2024, the MLS champion will be a new champion in the champion ring, someone that has never won MLS Cup before. I don't know who that's going to be yet. I have a couple of teams in mind, but I think there will be a new MLS champion crowned this year that has never won it before. Maybe they've won a Supporter Shield, maybe they haven't, but they have not won MLS Cup.
Yeah, and parity is, I think, the league prides itself on that, and it's kind of constructed itself to have that kind of parity that you don't really see in other soccer leagues, where it's 3 or 4 teams that run everything. But that's a good take right there. Yeah.
I think going into that, or did you?
No.
Go.
I was just gonna say, my LOLJK one was obviously
acronyms.
The first LOLJK was just like, we see Galaxy and LAFC in the like going into the finals and having like an LA battle in the MLS Cup finals. But I think
conference finals.
Sorry, conference finals, and then Galaxy takes on the Western title, and then they take in.
I mean, I like this hot take better than mine.
I know. Here's the thing. Here's where it comes from. It's like, okay, I'll just keep it with this one, because this is what I was thinking. I think that we've had LAFC in the league for a while. Like, they're kind of getting to the point where it's like we're moving away from like brand new, and we have a few other expansion teams. And we saw them win the 2022 championship. We saw what happened in 2023. They're almost there. I think this season going to 2024, Galaxy, we're seeing them revamp, renew themselves. They have great players at the moment. They're signing great players. So this is the time for them to kind of like gain back their title in LA. And for LAFC, it's their opportunity to kind of like shut that down. So I feel like the field is open for the LA side to kind of decide what they're going to do and who's going to be the team of LA.
But you think it's going to be Galaxy?
No, I'm saying like it could possibly be that they get into a Western Conference final, and then it could be Galaxy that takes it.
I mean, but you gotta say your hot take with your chest, Bridge. Like, come on.
My hot take is that Inter Miami takes it, the whole thing. That would be the new team that you're speaking off.
Okay.
Of.
My other hot take was going to be that Inter Miami won't even make the playoffs.
That was my hot take.
Okay, sorry.
I was going to say injuries is not going to let it happen. As much soccer that they played, they are not going to make it far. There's going to be a lot of injuries here and there. Plus they're like 34 and up club. What's up?
Hey, I mean,
we out here.
the way
Back
they
still
were
hurt,
playing,
but we still out here.
The way they were playing their Saudi league games was
They're
no,
all preseason.
Oh my God, dude,
in
my
the way
comments.
the way Inter and MLS is pimping that team, like it's crazy. Like they play everything.
I want to get into this a little bit ahead, but so we could save this because I think that's something that a lot of people are concerned about, especially on the Miami side of things, because they're really milking that preseason tour.
They had one of their younger players. I forgot his name. Their Argentina kid that first preseason in El Salvador, and I hate it had to be in El Salvador. Torre was it ACL?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's done, and he was supposed to be like that guy that they get to sell to Europe for like 20 million.
20 million. Like he was a good signing. All this potential. European teams wanted him, but he wanted to increase his value in MLS, and then he goes to El Salvador. Damn, El Salvador, let's get our fields together. And what was it, like 10 minutes in, like
That's wild.
tear something. But
And then Ben Kramaski as well is out for like 4 months now. It's awful.
And
and
get Romeo in.
yeah, my other hot take is Martinez will be the new best incomer for MLS. The
David Martinez.
David Martinez for LAFC.
Venezuelan.
I have not heard anything bad from him yet.
Hey, he got some pretty sick highlights.
I saw 2 games in the under 22 like qualifiers.
Yeah.
And he's only 18.
Yeah. Yeah.
What were we doing in 18?
I've heard people say that he's like the best Venezuelan prospect they've ever seen. So that's pretty
Saying a
damn
lot.
good. I mean,
Best newcomer to MLS right there.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah, that's a good take. All right, so my hot take. I was mulling through a couple, and honestly, like I was hoping that you guys wouldn't step on mine, but
Step on your toes every
glad.
single time. You
I
know
know. Yeah. No, I'm glad. But mine is that MLS will not only break their average attendance record that they broke last year, but they're going to break into the top 5 across the league or across the world. Top 5 attendance, average attendance. Because number one, obviously, it's going to be Messi's first full season as an MLS player, and I'm banking on the fact that he stays healthy throughout the year. 34 games is not plus the Leagues Cup plus, yeah. Is it 34 or 30?
he's almost at 37.
No, I'm talking about
Games.
games. The amount of games that they played in the regular season, plus all the cups, plus the playoffs, all this and that. So he's got to stay healthy for this to happen.
Very healthy.
And I think last year they broke the record at like 22,100 something. Lyon right now is in France is the fifth highest league attendance
Now,
at
when Mbappé about
25.
to leave, it might get a breakthrough.
At 25,000, so it's not. I mean, it's going to take a big jump, but it's possible. And a lot of these teams are opening up their stadiums. They're playing the Messi games in, like I think Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City is hosting a game. There's going to be another game at the Rose Bowl. So there's going to be a lot more chances for these, big 50,000 plus crowds that I mean, obviously Atlanta and Charlotte have been doing for a while, but from other places. So I think we can break through that top 5 for this season, and at the end of 2024 we're going to be up there.
You know what? I can't wait for that Dignity Miami, going to Dignity, just because I remember when they went to BMO, LAFC, every little corner that could be a seat, they even put them little disposable chairs, right? And every little corner to sell tickets. They had tape around in the little corner, and Dignity is way bigger than
They got
BMO.
the grass. They got the grass.
they got to add the Charger seat.
The Charger seat. It was crazy. So I'm like, I just can't wait for that because I know Dignity has more space where they can work with, so it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
I actually want to add to my hot take because I don't think I was spicy enough.
Okay.
I don't think I delivered.
That's what we
Spice
brought
it
you
up.
for, man.
Spice
Yeah, I
it
don't
up
think
a
I
little
delivered
bit.
what you guys got me here to do. So I'm standing by there will be a new MLS champion crowned.
Okay.
But there's been all this hype about Messi, Inter Miami, and all this stuff going on with them. When I think the MLS champion this year will be Orlando City, the other Florida team, and
They were
plot
cold last
twist.
year.
they're gonna wipe it off
Yeah.
of Inter Miami, all the hype away from them. They're gonna reclaim Florida if they
Yeah.
ever had it. I mean, yeah, they had it. But,
U.S. Open Cup champs.
yeah, U.S. Open Cup champs. Hell yeah, beat Sac Republic, massive club. But I actually feel really good about Orlando. They're one of like the 3 teams that I thought of when I thought of like a new champion, and bringing in a guy like Muriel from Atalanta. That's a very underrated signing here that I think could be massive for them.
Right.
And a few months of Duncan McGuire before he leaves again or tries to leave.
Right.
I think
that
Orlando City I think this could be their year. They're a very well-run organization. I think they're also the most underrated atmosphere that I've seen in MLS. I am going to say it now. I'm going to stick by it for the whole year because that's what I do, even though I had LAFC versus Toronto as my MLS Cup pick last year.
That was rough.
Yeah. I'm picking Orlando this year.
Yeah, I mean, they were really good last year. And
they were up there.
Yeah. I think they were second in the East or
second
third.
in the East. And a lot
of
of people thought, it might have been a fluke, but they did, re-sign Facundo Torres.
Yeah,
for
he's a baller. He's a baller.
A deep a lengthy contract, and people thought they were going to sell him this offseason. So the fact that he's there, they bring in experience in Nico Ladero as well.
Yeah,
although he won't be a starter per se for them. Having a guy like that off the bench who's won multiple MLS Cups, I think this could be Orlando's year, and they are going to take all the hype away from Inter Miami.
Yeah. I believe Cincinnati might be that team that
be.
with that American backline,
they just
defender of the year, Matt.
Up there,
and I think they're going to be a scary team. If we're going to pick hot takes, I think that's going to be my championship team, to be honest. With American defenders, which other team is doing that? Yeah. 2 national team defenders as well.
Yeah, they just signed someone today from, was it Brazil or I forget South America.
I missed that one.
Yeah.
I did have down an underrated pickup from them, which was Corey Baird, a free agent from Houston who had an incredible year last year, and I actually looked at his stats compared to Brandon Vasquez, and he had 8 goals and 6 assists last year for Houston. Vasquez had 8 goals and 4 assists. And Corey Baird did it in 39 fewer minutes. So he played fewer minutes. He way cheaper of a player to have on your roster than Brandon Vasquez. I think that's like a crazy pickup for them, especially because, like I mentioned with Griffin Dorsey, Baird was in a similar situation to Dorsey where he needed it to work out in Houston. It did, and now he might win MLS Cup this year with Cincinnati. Because I wouldn't put it past them to win MLS Cup. I think they could do it.
They have Defender of the Year, and then they have Robinson coming back. So it's going to be a scary back line, especially the American back line. So it's going to be great.
Yeah. So now I think we can get into the Inter Miami of it all because this has just been kind of a looming story all season long or all off season long, and bringing in Luis Suarez. Which I think a lot of people had. We mentioned it before we recorded. It felt like he's been there for already. So we haven't really talked about it on the pod about this whole messy PR. You guys have seen Like Mike? Have you guys seen Like? Yeah, classic. Lil Bow Wow.
Lil Bow Wow.
Jesse Plemons, a young Jesse Plemons in there. But okay, so there's a whole scene when he's talking to Eugene Levy about getting to play and all this and that, and then Eugene Levy, who's the GM I think or something, he has bro, you're here to get people to get people to come to the game. You're not here to play. You know what I mean? So is this what we're seeing with Messi? Is he here? Obviously they're going to milk. They have to. They would be dumb not to capitalize and milk the Messi thing on the team. But how much of a factor is he going to be on the field this season, or is he just there? Because he's got a lengthy length to his contract. It's not like he's there for his last year. Is he going to be a real factor this year, or is he just a PR piece to kind of boost the MLS's profile as a whole? So
I guess my hot take for this one, because I read it in the doc that you sent me as a real contributor or PR player.
Yeah.
So my hot take is, Messi is both in a way, but I think that he is actually, when he's played for Miami, he's been lights out.
Right.
And it's just, been keeping him healthy, keeping him in matches, and keeping him fit. So what I'm going to say is he's a real contributor, but Inter Miami is a PR team.
Yeah.
I think the whole operation as a whole is a PR stunt, but I think Messi and himself, he still is, the second best player of all time behind Griffin Dorsey, and he is Messi. He's that great, and we saw it in the League's Cup that when he is there, he provides so much for Inter Miami and the league as a whole. It's just keeping him healthy, keeping him fit. Which I think will be a big problem for Miami. But I think when he does play, he will be a real contributor. But I think this whole Miami situation as a whole is, it is a PR stunt. And it brings a question, though. And this is a big question. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this because I have a hot take about it as well. It's, a lot of MLS, hardcore MLS fans, they're like, well, isn't Messi struggling in MLS a good thing for the league? And I actually might beg to differ, where I think it makes the league look bad as a whole if Messi is so bad in a way.
It goes back to that. It goes back to that Beckham, Edson, Buttle passes. So it's not the same Beckham giving a pass to El Phenomenal R9 and giving, no, sorry, Edson, but I know I said this before. Don't mean no harm, but it's like difference of level. Like, of course, like he has to give a good ball. He has to bring it down, and then R9 can do the rest. But, I mean, just to pass, the forward just got to bring it down and do the rest. With Messi, like, it's not the same giving the ball to high-quality players than getting the ball back bouncy. Like, that Cruz Azul game, you saw him. He would try to do 1-2. The only crispy 1-2s he was getting back was from Busquets. The rest of the balls, he would give that 1-2 and the ball would be bouncing, or the ball wouldn't be playing his feet. Like, I think Messi just doesn't have the rest of the talent. Well, which he brought he brought
Messi and
David Suarez. They had the Busquets, Jordi Alba. They had the Argentinian kid. I'm sorry I forget his name, but got hurt. But he needs quality players to be that Messi that everybody wants to see.
But I mean, he still was that Messi, even though he was like, obviously he's not getting the crisp passes that he was getting at Barcelona, but he's still contributing and wowing, and it's
Definitely.
not like he's, because if you put him in another league where it's like there absolutely can't, like, there's nothing he can do to overcome the quality of his teammates. Like, I think that's what maybe you were getting at as struggling. I think people that say, like, oh my God, like, you know, Messi's coming in and he's walking all over, he made an instant impact in MLS, that just shows you how trash MLS is. I disagree with that as well, because I think that the game is obviously, it's a very much of a team-oriented sport. It's not like basketball where you can just put a LeBron James on your team and all of a sudden your team's going to win 40 more games just from that one move.
But if you see the LAFC game they had Inter, like, Messi did not do anything the whole game. He walked most of the game, and he still made the most impact just walking.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah.
Like three defenders trying to defend him, and like they're leaving other spaces open. And McCarthy, now part of the LA Galaxy, probably his highlight of his life is stopping that Messi goal that he did.
Yeah.
But Messi doesn't have to really do anything to make the biggest impact in that team, because him walking around has 4 players on him, which opens up space for everybody else.
Yeah.
It's just them; they have to perform.
But if you put him on a team in a league that is of such quality, bad quality, where it's like there's nothing he can do to possibly overcome that level, that would be embarrassing. And if you see that in MLS, I feel like that would be a gigantic step back for the league. And I do think it's, obviously you don't want him to like make the MLS players look like, you know, amateurs, which I don't think he's done. I think he's obviously been clear cut above the rest, but we all knew that. Like MLS fans, like, let's be real here. Like, this is Major League Soccer. This is, you know, the level of, you know what you're getting when you walk into this league, and that's not why we watch. I don't watch MLS because it's the best like soccer I'm going to watch.
We've improved a lot though.
Sure, of course, and it's a very watchable product. And I think that there's a lot of people who just straight up won't watch MLS because it's like, why would I watch a 7th or 8th or 10th or 15th or whatever? Like, what are they, 65th in that ranking? From
that, yeah.
Why would I want to watch that? That's not the point. That's not like. People watch college football. College football is not the best level of football. Like, there's an entertainment value to it. There's a value to MLS that I think a lot of people overlook just because it's MLS, you know?
Yeah. One thing I do want to add, though, to the reason why I thought that maybe Inter Miami being bad makes MLS look bad is, you know, I've had to deal with a lot of bot comments, you know, from Ronaldo fanboys and stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, them being so bad, even in a friendly, even though we know that this friendly doesn't matter, people like think that automatically makes the Saudi league better than MLS. They think, you know, even Ronaldo didn't even play in the Al Nassr match, and they believe that sealed the GOAT debate because they, you know, Al Nassr won 6-0.
The GOAT debate.
So that's what I mean.
Funniest
where it's like
ever.
this preseason tour is like the worst thing Inter Miami could have done.
Yeah.
You know, they've lost players to long-term injuries, and they're just making the league look bad. And, you know, sure, the MLS fans and the hardcore fans, you know, they're going to be like, oh, it doesn't matter. Who cares about a preseason match? But I'm talking about like these casual soccer fans around the world. They see this result and they're like, oh, Inter Miami sucks. Miami or Messi sucks. Like, you know, it's a bad look.
80% of the players that play most of those preseason games are not going to get any play time this season.
But they don't know that.
They don't know.
Like,
they brought prospects. They brought kids.
Yeah.
They brought some of their academy players. They're not going to play.
Yeah, but to your point, like you mentioned earlier, like Inter Miami is a PR team. Since they started, like, they came in. I mean, they're a newer team. They're still, they were a newer expansion team, and you give them the benefit of the doubt. You give them some time to kind of grow and operate. They've done nothing. They made the playoffs once in their existence,
and it was a wild card spot.
Yeah,
and they expanded the playoffs that year to have an extra spot.
Exactly, and so they've been poorly run from the output. They've had terrible signing. They signed Blaise Matuidi. They signed Gonzalo Higuain. Both absolute dud signings.
Rodolfo Pizarro sadly wasn't great.
Exactly. So they haven't had there's been no inkling that this is a well-run franchise, and
not even Breck Shea could have saved them.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. And that's how you know. That's how you know. Like, Breck Shea comes on your team and you're not making the playoffs. Like, it's not Breck Shea's fault.
Luck. Bad luck.
But like, for Messi, did Messi make the right decision joining Inter Miami? Like, was this the right team for him to join? Because I've seen a lot of people kind of talking about that now too, that this was not the team for him. They showed improvement when he came to the team last, but they were in dead last place, like, by far. This is like a relegation level team, if there was relegation. It's like, like, why would he sign with this team? Obviously, being in Miami, being the Beckham,
they have a big Argentinian fan base.
They have a big Argentina being, like,
that
location-wise, like, come on, like, you can't beat it. You can't beat it. But from a team standpoint, it doesn't make sense, which is why I'm a little bit worried that if he sees kind of the writing on the wall, like, okay, you know what, this team's trash. Like, the front offices, I don't have any players. I brought my friends, but I can't really do it. Like, Busquets hasn't looked like he's been at that level so far in the preseason, which obviously, we got to give him time to warm up and acclimate.
I think he's hurt, by the way. I think he got injured too.
He did get hurt recently as well. But
I don't know how bad it is.
It wasn't in El Salvador, though.
Yeah, it was.
Maybe with Saudi, I don't know.
So now I'm thinking, like, if he sees the writing on the wall halfway through the season, it's like, okay, dude, could I try? Do I really want to try and play on this turf field right now, or after a 7-hour flight? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, definitely.
I could see him turning it off halfway through the year if things don't go according to plan to start.
And Messi did say, like, during this preseason tour, he was like, I'm tired. I just want to go home already. Like, it's not good for the players.
I mean, they traveled 23,000 miles in 3 weeks. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I would die, and I'm 23. Like, that would destroy my body. That would destroy everything.
And didn't they like cancel the Asian
one
tour
of them?
Yeah, they stopped one of them, and I think a lot of fans got
really upset.
They got refunded.
Yeah, they should.
Upset, yeah.
But I forgot what I was saying. Oh, I could see just, like, worst case scenario with this Messi situation is Messi retires after Copa America this year. Just, like, completely retires. I don't think he would play anywhere else.
Yeah.
I think, or no, he'll go back to Newell Old Boys.
Newell's, yeah.
But, like, next year. But, like, I think he could, like, just flat out retire, like, after Copa America. Especially if they win it.
Does he still have 2 years left on his contract, or
it's
2.5?
One more year after this one.
He's supposed to. His contract's supposed to end prior to the 2026 World Cup.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like, it's just too much. Like, too much going on. Too much for, like, 23,000 miles. Crazy.
Yeah, there's
like,
too much revolved around him.
And, like, you saw with LAFC, like, last year when they had all these tournaments played, like, a lot of minutes, and even the bigger teams like Real Madrid, Barcelona, like, a lot of minutes means more prone to injuries. Yeah. And this guy is MLS, whether we like it or not. Messi is MLS. If Messi is not playing, MLS is not making any money.
Or they're not making as much money.
But
or they're not getting their money's worth for everything they put in for Messi. Because everything MLS, everything Apple TV is Messi. Like, there's so much that revolves around him, and I think that there's going back to the question you asked. I think, like Eli said, it's both. Like, Inter Miami's a PR team, and also Messi contributes. But I think that putting too much pressure on him, his name, his game, is hurting the team as a whole, and it's just kind of showing us that they're really not that team, and they're just like they're bringing down Messi as a player.
Yeah. Imagine him coming to LA and bringing Busquets and Alba and like. And
I mean, would we, after watching what's happening, would either the Galaxy or LFC even want that? Like,
we'll take pieces. We don't take the whole thing.
I'll take Alba. Like,
I'm like, maybe
don't take Alba. Alba's balling.
We'll take Messi. Y'all could keep his friends. Like,
I don't need Suarez. I don't need. I'll take Alba. I think he's been playing pretty well.
He has.
I think out of all of them, respectfully, Alba has shown the best.
He's acclimated to the style of play.
Because Busquets be looking like he's like a
Over
veteran.
it.
AF.
Yeah.
It's like being with your friends, like, hey, yeah, I got some girls out there. Let me call them. I got my boys. Hey, how do you think my boys look? And they're like,
Boy cute?
Not the boy.
Yeah, he's cute.
she said just wait a little bit.
He's nice.
Hey, yo, my man over there think you cute.
Well, man, bro. Let me go. What's over this one?
Okay, all right. So before we wrap things up, I know Orlando City, Cincinnati, those are your championship picks. Bridge, do you have a MLS champion pick?
MLS champion overall?
Yeah.
Dang. I can't say any other team besides LAFC. Like, I can't.
Yeah, right.
My heart wants what my heart wants.
Yeah.
But like this is way too soon. Like everybody knows the July transfer windows where the real players come.
Right.
So like a lot of players are not doing as much right now. Like the big Arsenal's, Chelsea, these big teams get tired of them about around July. So that's when the real players are gonna come. That's when like MLS 2.0 is gonna kick off, and that's when the real soccer starts. Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I had Toronto making MLS Cup last year, so you know it really doesn't matter, and that's the beauty of MLS. You know, anyone could win it, and you know nothing goes the way you think it will go.
It's a win-win pick too, because it's like it counts if you guessed it right, but it doesn't count if you guess it wrong.
Nah.
You know what I mean?
I take pride in picking Columbus at the start of the playoffs, which is a little late, but you know at least you know I had them beating Cincinnati and stuff. I'll take that.
If you looked at the numbers, I had them in the final as well. My playoff preview I did on urbanpitch.com. You should check it out. It's a little outdated now, but if you looked at their numbers, their goal output was like massive.
Ridiculous.
And you know, so that's like one thing. It's like, okay, like, you know, this could be a team. But I was gonna say Cincinnati. That was gonna be my pick. That was the pick I had in my head coming into this. But since you already said it, I'm gonna say F it, and Columbus is gonna go for a repeat, because the last time they won that MLS Cup, before obviously last year the Chiefs won. So they won 2023, Chiefs won. The time they won it before, they won the 2020, Chiefs won 2020. So, and you know, it's another election year, and 2020 was an election year. So I mean,
You're putting the pieces together.
like, you know what I mean?
Crazy.
So the planets are aligning, if that's what you believe in. But
horoscope girly.
Yeah, right. Allegedly, and the crew are gonna repeat.
That's hot take. Djokovic, leading scorer for MLS.
Hell yeah.
All right. All right, Eli. Anything else that you want to plug or discuss before we wrap things up?
No, I mean, it's been an interesting start to the year for me, for sure. But, you know, I'm very happy to have been invited back to talk with you guys. I very much enjoyed talking with you guys. And then also, you know, as you mentioned earlier, I'm now an owner of a club, a proud fan owner of Orange County SC. And I just want you guys to know that I will make sure, you in the camera, I will make sure that I will convince every single one of you that Orange County SC is the most massive club in the world. And I'm going to make sure, with my very little influence there, that I will get Orange County to that point. And I was hoping MLS wouldn't chicken out of the Open Cup so Orange County could take every team down. And I'm just going to say it. We're going to win the Open Cup. We're going to win the CONCACAF Champions Cup. We're going to win the Club World Cup. We're winning everything. So get on board now.
Are we invited to the owner's box?
Yes, you are.
Hey.
All right, that's all that matters. Hey, great park. Hey, great park. We're there. We're there. Yeah.
Great park.
No, Eli, thank you so much for rejoining us. This has been a blast. Hopefully we'll have you back soon.
Yes,
but for the Urban Pitch Podcast, this has been another episode, obviously, part of the Believe Network. For Julio Monterosa, Eli Lesser, Bridget Flores, I'm Ramsey Abushala. We got more stuff ahead for you guys, but until then, we're out of here.